Welcome to this channel. Indian famous Hindu temples. Today we are talking about another famous temple named Lingaraja Temple. This temple is situated in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. The Lingaraja Temple, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. One of the oldest Hindu temples in Bhubaneswar, the capital of the Indian state of Odisha, is the Lingaraja Temple, which is dedicated to Shiva. One of the state's most popular tourist destinations, the temple is Bhubaneswar's most prominent landmark. The Lingaraja Sanctuary is the biggest in Bhubaneswar. The temple's central tower is 180 feet high, 0.55 m tall. The temple is the pinnacle of Kalinga architecture and the culmination of Bhubaneswar's medieval architectural tradition. It is believed that the kings of the Somavanshi dynasty constructed the temple, with later additions coming from the Ganga rulers. The temple is constructed in the Deula style and consists of four parts: the vimana, which houses the sanctum; the Jagamohana, which is an assembly hall; the Nata Mandira, which is a festival hall; and the bhoga-mandapa, which is a hall for offerings. Each of these parts is taller than the one before it. A substantial compound wall surrounds the temple complex, which includes 50 additional shrines. According to the Ekamra Purana, a Sanskrit treatise written in the 13th century, Bhubaneswar is known as the Ekamra Kshetra because the deity of Lingaraja was originally seated beneath a mango tree, Ekamra. In contrast to the majority of other temples in Bhubaneswar, the temple is actively engaged in worship. The Jagannath sect, which arose from the Ganga rulers who constructed the Jagannath Temple in Puri in the 12th century, may have contributed to the presence of Vishnu-themed images in the temple. Shiva is worshipped as the temple's central deity, Lingaraja. The Temple Trust Board and the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, are in charge of the upkeep of the Lingaraja Temple. During festivals, the temple receives lakhs of visitors, an average of 6,000 per day. The most important festival in the temple is Shivaratri, and 200,000 people attended the event in 2012. Non-Hindus cannot enter the temple compound, but a viewing platform is next to a wall that gives a good view of the main exterior. When Lord Curzon was viceroy, this was initially constructed for his visit. History of the Lingaraja Temple. Lingaraja literally translates to King of Lingam, Shiva's iconic form. Shiva is commonly referred to as Bhubaneswara, also known as Bhubaneswar, the master of three worlds, heaven, earth, and the netherworld, and was originally worshipped as Kudavasa before becoming Harihara. Gopaluni or Bhubaneswari is the name of his partner. The final decade of the 11th century saw the construction of the temple in its current state. According to some Sanskrit texts from the 7th century, there is evidence that a portion of the temple was constructed in the 6th century CE. Ferguson thinks that Lalit Indukeshri, who ruled from 615 to 657 CE, might have started the temple. The assembly hall, Jagamohana, sanctum, and temple tower were constructed in the 11th century, while the hall of offering, bhoga-mandapa, was constructed in the 12th. Between the years 1099 and 1104 CE, the wife of Shalini constructed the Nata Mandira. The fact that Vishnu and Shiva worship coexisted at the Lingaraja temple is evidenced by historians' belief that the Jagannath, a form of Vishnu, sect had grown in the area by the time the temple was built. The Jagannath temple in Puri was built in the 12th century by the Ganga dynasty's fervent Vaishnava kings. According to some accounts, Somavanshi king Yayati I, 1025 to 1040, is said to have built the temple in the 11th century CE. Yayati Keshri moved his capital from Jaipur to Bhubaneswar as mentioned in the ancient scripture known as the Brahma Purana. This new location is referred to as Ekamra Kshetra. The Brahmins who were associated with the temple received generous grants, and one of the Somavanshi queens gave the temple a village. An inscription from Saka 1094, 1172 CE, mentions that Rajaraja II gave gold coins to the temple. An additional 11th century inscription of Narasimha I makes an offer of betel leaves as a tambula to the presiding deity. Other stone inscriptions in the temple talk about royal gifts that Ganga gave to the people of the nearby village. K.C. Panigrahi says that Yayati I didn't have time to build the temple, so his sons Anantakeshri and Udiotakeshri, both of whom are thought to have been Yayati II's other names, should have started it. The view is refuted by the assertion that his weak successors were unable to construct such a magnificent structure. Relevance to religion. Bhubaneswar is known as the Ekamra Kshetra because the Lingaraja deity was once seated beneath an Ekamra, mango, tree. Ekamra Purana, a Sanskrit composition of the 13th century specifies that the directing divinity was not viewed as the lingam, an aniconic type of Shiva, during the Satya and Treta Yugas and just during the Dwapara and Kali Yugas, it arose as a lingam. The temple's lingam is a natural, uncut stone that is supported by a sakti. This kind of lingam, known as Kritavasa or Swayambhu, can be found in 64 locations across India. During the period, with the Ganga dynasty's establishment in the early 12th century, it is attributed to the growing prominence of the Jagamohana sect, which gained prominence during the temple's construction. The Ganges remodeled the temple and added Vaishnava elements like images of Jaya and Prakanda, two Vaishnava Dwarapalas. The temple's flag was attached to a pinnacle bow instead of the trident that is typically found in Shiva temples. Significance religious of the Lingaraja Temple. Bhubaneswar is known as the Ekamra Kshetra because the Lingaraja deity was once seated beneath an Ekamra, mango, tree. Ekamra Purana, a Sanskrit composition of the 13th century specifies that the directing divinity was not viewed as the lingam, an aniconic type of Shiva, during the Satya and Treta Yugas and just during the Dwapara and Kali Yugas, it arose as a lingam. The temple's lingam is made of a natural, uncut stone that is supported by a sakti. As the scripture Kritavasa, this kind of lingam, also known as Swayambhu, can be found in 64 locations across India. During the period, the Ganga dynasty was established in the early 12th century. It is attributed to the growing prominence of the Jagamohana sect, which gained prominence during the temple's construction. The Ganges remodeled the temple and added Vaishnava elements like images of Jaya and Prakanda, two Vaishnava Dwarapalas. The temple's flag was attached to a pinnacle bow instead of the trident that is typically found in Shiva temples. Worship and festival practices. According to Hindu legend, an underground stream beginning from the Lingaraja sanctuary fills the Bhubaneswar tank, meaning sea drop, and the water is accepted to mend physical and profound sickness. As a result, pilgrims dip their feet in the tank's holy water on special occasions. Shiva is worshipped as the temple's central deity, Lingaraja. During the Falguna month, when thousands of devotees visit the temple, Shivaratri is the main festival. On this auspicious day, in addition to fasting for an entire day, bell leaves are offered to Lingaraja. Devotees pray all night during the main celebrations at night. Following the lighting of the Mahadapa, a massive lamp on the temple spire, the devout typically break their fast. This festival honors the demon-killing feat of Lingaraja. During the Shravana month, thousands of Bom pilgrims walk to the temple carrying water from the river Mahanadi. Temple servants, peasants, and other holders of temple lands offer loyalty and tribute to Lingaraja on Sunnian Day, which has been observed since royal times and falls in the month of Bhadra. Chandan Yatra, also known as the Sandalwood Ceremony, is a 22-day festival held in the temple during which temple employees board a specially constructed barge in the Bhubaneswar tank. To shield them from the heat, temple deities and servants are anointed with sandalwood paste. The people associated with the temple organize dances, feasts for the whole community, and other forms of merrymaking. On Ashokashtami, the Lingaraja chariot festival, Rathayatra, is celebrated each year. The deity is transported to the Rameshwar Deula temple in a chariot. Lingaraja, Gopaluni, and Vasudeva's brightly decorated chariots are pulled by thousands of devotees. In contrast to the other ancient temples of Bhubaneswar, which are not active worship centers, the Lingaraja temple engages in worship practices. Non-Hindus are not permitted inside the temple, but they can view it from the outside viewing platform. A laneway to the right of the temple's main entrance leads to the viewing platform and the back of the building. The sacredness of the sanctuary is kept up by refusing canines, unbathed guests, bleeding ladies, and families that experienced birth or passing in the previous 12 days. The temple performs a purification ceremony and deposits prasad, a food offering, in a well in the event of a foreign trespass. Practices of religion. Several times a day, the image of Lingaraja is sprayed with water, called mahasnana, and adorned with flowers, sandal paste, and cloth. The Lingaraja temple does not allow hemlock or hemlock flowers, which are typically presented in other Shiva temples. In daily worship, bilva leaves, eagle marmelos, and tulasi, osamam sanctum, are used. In the bhoga-mandapa, or hall of offerings, cooked rice, curries, and sweets are offered, and the divinity is asked to accept them amid a slew of Sanskrit texts being chanted. Pilgrims typically present coconut, ripe plantains, and korakai to Lingaraja. Some devotees offer bang beverages to Lingaraja, particularly on Pana Sankranti, Adiya New Year. During bhoga, or food offerings to the deity, the Lingaraja temple is open from 6 a.m. to about 9 p.m. Lingaraja is awoken early in the morning by lighting lamps in the cella, performing ablution, adoration, and arati, light waving. The sanctuary is shut from around 12 early afternoons until around 3:30 p.m. A function known as mahasnana, bathing, is performed once the entryways are shut, trailed by pouring of panchamrita, a combination of milk, soured milk, explained spread, honey, and ghee, upon the divinity for filtration. Ripe plantain is split in half around 1 p.m., with one half being offered to the sun god and the other to Dwarapala, the doorway guardian deity. The food offering known as balaba bhoga, which consists of curdled milk, curd, and vegetables, is made to the deity between 1 and 1:30 p.m. Orthodox Hindu housewives frequently follow this custom, which involves carrying the food that has been consecrated to the temple of Parvati and offering it to her as an offering. At around 2 p.m., the Sakala Dupa, early daytime contribution of food, happens. The food is given to Lingaraja, and the offerings are taken to Parvati's temple to serve her. At 3:30 p.m., an offering known as Banda Dupa is made in the offering hall. The prisoners later give the pilgrims this food as Mahaprasada. Around 4:30 p.m., a light refreshment known as Balaba Dupa is offered to the deity. Dwipahar Dupa, a midday meal, is served around 5 p.m. Another offering known as Palia Badu is presented to the deity around 7 p.m. During that time, Sandhya Arati, or the waving of lights at night, is performed. One more quick bite called Shahana Dupa is presented at around 8:30 p.m. The ritual of waving light, Bharati, in front of the deity is carried out following the meals. Bada Singnera, or the Great Decoration, is the final service of the day at 9:30 p.m., during which the deity is decorated with flowers and other ornaments and a light food offering is made. In the room, a wooden palanquin is set up, incense is lit, water is served, and prepared betel is placed. After the arati is done, Panchabhaktra Mahadeva comes to the palanquin and goes back to his own home. Mahadeva, who holds Parvati in his lap and has 5 faces, is depicted here in bronze. Ritual observances and the recitation of mantras, Sanskrit texts, specific to each occasion accompany each of these ceremonies. Architecture. Lingaraja Sanctuary has a square arrangement, a section taken from the top of the sanctum, assembly hall, festival hall, and bhoga-mandapa, hall of offerings. The Lingaraja Temple is Bhubaneswar's largest temple. The well-known historian and critic James Ferguson, 1808 to 1866, described the temple as one of the finest examples of purely Hindu temple in India. It is enshrined within a large laterite compound wall that is 520 feet, 160 meters, by 465 feet, 142 meters. A straightforward slant coping stands atop the wall, which is 7.5 feet, 2.3 meters, thick. A terrace runs parallel to the inner face of the boundary wall to shield the compound wall from outside aggression. The complex's expansive courtyard is home to 150 smaller shrines, and the tower is 45.11 meters, 148.0 feet, high. Every inch of the 55 meters, 180 feet, sculpted is the tall tower. Sandalwood is used to construct the entrance porch gate door. Sandstone and laterite make up the structure of the Lingaraja Temple, which faces east. Small entrances can be found in the north and south, while the main entrance is in the east. The temple is constructed in the Deula style and consists of 4 parts: the vimana, the structure that houses the sanctum, the assembly hall, the festival hall, and the bhoga-mandapa, the hall of offerings. All 4 of these parts are in axial alignment with descending height. The rise in prominence of the Devadasi system at the time was connected to the dance hall. From the hall of offering to the sanctum tower, the various units rise in height. The bhoga-mandapa, or offering hall, is 42 feet, 13 meters, by 42 feet, 13 meters, from the inside, or 56.25 feet, 17.15 meters, asterisk 56.25 feet 17.15 m, from an external perspective, and has 4 entryways on every one of the sides. The hall's exterior walls are decorated with sculptures of humans and animals. The roof of the hall is shaped like a pyramid and is made up of 2 sets of 2 horizontal layers with a platform in between. It has a kalasha at the top and an inverted bell on it. From the inside, the Nata Mandira, or festival hall, is 50 feet long and 38 feet, 12 meters, wide. 15 m, asterisk 50 feet, 15 m, and has 2 side entrances in addition to the main entrance. Women and couples are depicted in decorative sculptures on the side walls of the hall. It has a level rooftop slanting in stages. The hall is enclosed by thick pylons. From the inside, the assembly hall, or Jagamohana, is 55 feet long and 35 feet wide. 17 m, asterisk 50 feet, 15 m, from an external perspective, passageways from south and north, and has a 30 meters, 98 feet, high roof as in the Hall of Offering. The roof of the hall is a pyramid with multiple horizontal layers arranged in sets of 2. Perforated windows depicting lions seated on their hind legs adorn the entrance facade. Lions and a kalasha are featured on the inverted bell above the second unit. The Reka Deula is 60 meters, 200 feet, 22 feet high pyramidal structure that towers over the sanctum. 6.7 m, asterisk 22 feet, 6.7 meters, from the inside and 52 feet, 16 meters, from the outside sanctum. It is covered with a beautifying plan and situated lion projecting from the walls. From the inside, the sanctum is square. Women in various poses are sculpted into the tower walls. There are hundreds of small shrines scattered throughout the temple's vast courtyard. Connectivity. Closest airport, Bhubaneswar Airport. Closest rail station, Bhubaneswar Rail Station. It is around 9 kilometers from airport to reach the Lingaraja Temple. Hope you've enjoyed the video. For more videos, please subscribe to the channel.